Welcome to making a Mont'ka list with me. Just going to go over some of the basics. A little bit. So I just made a 2,000 point list. I thought about it a little bit. Wasn't super fine tuned. I was more looking for specific things that may be able to help people playing the Mont'ka. There's lots of lists out there, lots of GW lists that people are winning with and stuff. But I wanted to go over some of the maybe like tricky things you could do, or just things that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about. So first of all, let's just talk about the actual detachment rules. So the killing blow, they did change it. I'm glad that they updated it, because it used to not say the whole like you have assault. It would be like assumed you have assault. It was weird. But during the first, second, and third battle rounds, so it's much like a Kaioken where you have to get out there, be aggressive, burst, do some damage. But it helps a lot in the sense of everyone has assault from the first, second, and third rounds. And then if they're guided, they also get lethal hits. And so that's something that I feel like would be very useful for aggressive armies, or if you're just wanting to be aggressive. You have some like other things like when someone like kills one of your units for 1 CP, you can mark that as a pinpoint counter-offensive unit, where basically you can re-roll the hits. And so if you are trying to take out big things, you can pretty much activate that at any time. And so that's a very, very nice. The counter-fire defense systems is fairly nice too, just because it is 2 CP, but you subtract 1 from the damage characteristics. It's pretty nice. And of course, there's some other things that kind of help you go with your mobility. You have aggressive mobility. 1 CP, basically they add 6 inches to the move characteristics instead of doing an assault roll. So you can auto guarantee a full assault. One of the main things people use a lot, especially with mobility, is breacher teams, like breacher fish, as I like to call them. Because if you're having assault, and these things are moving, 12 plus 6, so like 18 inches. And you can just get up there super fast, especially, I'm not running it, but there are some good enhancements. Strike swiftly. At the start of the battle, before any moves are made, using the Scout's ability, you can select 2 friendly units within 6 inches of the bearer that do not have the Scout's ability. Till the end of the battle, all models in the selected units have Scout's ability. So you could technically, let's say I had like a Cadre Fireblade or a Commander, like in a Cold Star or something like that had that enhancement. I could then place in the 2 Devilfish and give them a Scout move at the beginning of the game. Or, link it with, I'll get down to it, but there is a reason why the Storm Surge is here. I used to kind of hate Storm Surges, but in Mont'ka, they are extremely useful. I feel like they're almost the best detachment to run them in some ways, because of the ability of them just being able to get in there and get things done. Like with the advanced rolls, with hey, let's give them extra movement, stuff like that. They can be very, very fast and in the grill. And so everything about this is more of like speed and being able to get the big weapons into position. Like I don't have any broadsides on this because I don't think they don't have a place in Mont'ka. Just for what I was trying to do this, is they're a little slow. Because the breacher teams with the Cadre Flyer Blades, obviously they're going up to 30 dice because of their ability, giving that volley fire. And so the breachers teams, they go up from 20 dice, because they each get 2 attacks, to 30 dice, which is, especially with lethal hits, you're just kind of chucking dice at people, and you can make them really, really, really check their stats, basically, in the sense of like, oh no, I just failed like 6 2 damage or 6 1 damage shots, or something like that. So that's kind of going to be my main staying force of getting up there and holding objectives, consisting objectives. The Devilfish I also have with a couple Seeker Missiles, stuff like that, just so then they can add a little bit more firepower close up. Those Seeker Missiles, you only got 2 of them, but strength 14, they're pretty strong. They're pretty strong. You got your burst cannons, your pulse carbines, just in case, for, again, close quarters. One of the things I like to put on assault missile system, so they have indirect fire, or when you do have these two going on, you can get some really nasty attacks, just like in this is about throw some dice, kind of thing. So that's kind of my APC quick support. Obviously, FarSight has to lead. He doesn't have to, but in my mind, he has to lead the Mont'ka. So he's my Warlord. He's jumping in with the Cold Star. They're going to be a lot of my anti-tank. So 2 Fusion Crisis. The Sunforged battlesuits, kind of standard loadout for them, where they're really going to be trying to jump in, get some movement. Especially with now FarSight being able to use like that auto advance thing. If it was used before, he can a lot easier keep up with a Cold Star, because Cold Star's movement's 12 and boosts his squad up to 12 inches for one of his abilities, and already gives him assault. But so they could be moving 18 inches. FarSight could be moving 16. It just helps keep up a little bit more. The Ghost Kill, I kind of wanted more Ghost Kills, just because I love Ghost Kills, but this is, right now I have it on the Fusion. For any like close quarters stuff that kind of gets through or gets close to the line, aka the Storm Surge. He's really running support for the Storm Surge in this list. Like, he'll be fine. The Storm Surge obviously doesn't have blown up, but this guy will be fine. If anything gets close, he can just jump on it. Next is going to be the Hammerheads. I really do like, I kind of wanted to put one of these as the Ion Cannon. Depending on who you're fighting, this can be very nice, especially with lethal hits. You just get more dice. And again, railguns have devastating wounds, so lethal hits can kind of sometimes mess with it. Like if you get a 6 on the hit roll, well, it becomes a lethal hit. You can't re-roll it for a dev wound, kind of thing, to where it's good and bad. So, but with their movement being 10 inches and them getting assault, potentially moving 16 inches, that is some really big heavy firepower that can just come around a corner, or since they have fly, they can like go up on something and then shoot you and really kind of initiate that battle. Yeah, I don't have like fire and fade stuff like I do have in Retaliation, but getting basically a trap set of like, okay, you're set up, you walked a little bit forward, now I have 4 or 5 different groups popping up and shooting you, all with lethal hits, kind of thing, and just smashing you. I really, 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 really like the Hammerhead gunships for that potential of, hey, I could move 16 inches, I could pop up and then smack you from, depending on the weapon, but 60 or 70 inch, 72 inch range, and just really smack you. And so running 2 Hammerheads, I feel like isn't essential, but I do like running. If I'm going to run 1 Hammerhead, I gotta run 2, kind of thing. The 3 stealth suits, I've talked about these before, but they are pretty much a standard pick for any of my lists, any detachments. Their special rule is just too good. Them being able to re-roll 1s on the hit roll and the wound roll is just simply too powerful not to have in your list. And so if I can take 3, I will take 3. The last one I kind of want to talk about, the Storm Surge, because whether you have it close quarters, because especially if you have it depending on what you're fighting, but like using the pulse blast cannon, you can get up there a lot easier on this, and then you're basically doing 24 damage if both of them hit and wound, kind of thing. And then lethal hits with all these other guns. There's some things like the cluster rockets is 4d6 for attacks, and you can get some lethal hits out of that. That would be nice. The destroyer missile, like it's a big heavy one, but if you could get a lethal hit, cool. It's no dev wound or anything. Pulse driver cannon, up to 9 hits total. Maybe getting some of that -3 off, kind of thing. And 3 damage. The flamers, I kind of wanted to switch out the flamers for this, just because more, either this or this, just more dice to throw, just lethal hits to throw. But that's pretty much the list in terms of you want to use your aggressive mobility, rapid ingress stuff if you need to. The pinpoint counter offense, taking down their big units, jumping all in. Like, let's say, that warlord titan, that I was fighting, and I was fighting with Mont'ka. Well, every turn he destroyed something, which he was pretty much destroying something every turn. I could then jump on, pinpoint counteroffensive, and then re-roll all the hit rolls for everyone. Stuff like that. You're going to do a lot of combinations where, combat disembarkation, where, at the end of the phase, this model of the X can attack. You can re-roll the wound, which is, again, those breachers, pretty nice. Pretty nice. Focus fire if you need it. That one's kind of a more general Tau thing, but the AP does come in handy. Grenades come in handy. Pulse onslaught is nice. It just, yeah. Anyway, the point is, there's a lot that you can do, but it's all speed, reactionary, trying to, for the first 3 turns, always be on top. Always take the initiative. Always. And it's one of the weaknesses that I feel of Mont'ka is that when I've played it, when I've seen other people play it, I've sometimes seen them put themselves into bad positions to get some early scores, to get some early stuff done, and they either lose units that they needed for later, or they're just not able to score enough to then outlast the late game. And so, as much as it does pressure you to be aggressive, as much as it does pressure you to get stuff done, always be mindful of throwing the game. The last thing you want as a Mont'ka player is to lose the game turn 2 or 3. Like, basically, well, I've lost the game. And so, when doing that, just remember, still think things through. Just because you have the advantage right now doesn't mean that you can see everything and that you know what's exactly coming. So just be... Out of all the Tau detachments, I feel like this one is the most high risk, high reward. You gotta get turn 1, 2, and 3 to work for you, or you literally are going to be losing the game. It's going to be very hard to dig yourself out of points, dig yourself out of kills, whatever it is. If it's turn 3 and 4 and 5, not 3, but 4 and 5, and you've just lost units, you're either down points. It's exactly opposite from Carrion in the sense of, like, I almost want to stat pad myself turn 1, 2, and 3 in the sense of, hey, I'm now 30 points ahead of you, or whatever, catch up. And it doesn't really matter if, like, you lose the units because it's too many points or whatever. Like, you want to kind of set yourself up to coast out the door 4 and 5. Still be doing things, but coasting out. You already kind of want to have the win in the bag by turn 3, by the end of turn 3. And, yeah, still a really good list. I will try to run it here pretty soon. I'm going to be fighting the Knights on Friday, but I do not think I'm going to be using this list. I might be using Retaliation Cadre or Carrion just to test it out. Carrion, as I said before, is kind of my default one. So